What America has done through allowing mortgages to be traded really allows those 30-year, effectively you're creating a bond, right? So that's the great benefit of it. But on the taxation front, it's very attractive to invest a lot in your primary residence in Australia, because as long as you live in it and you sell it within 6 years of having lived in it, you pay no capital gains at all.
Welcome to Apartment Syndication Made Easy podcast, where we simplify the world of syndication. Join us as we unravel the complexities and provide you with valuable insights to help you invest smartly. Get ready to take your investments to the next level, one episode at a time. Here's your host, Mr. Vinney Smiles Chopra.
Hi there, guys. This is Vinney Chopra back again. I hope you're liking the content that we are putting out every day, every week. My Abundance Mindset show on Thursday with Walter, which I walk and talk, and it's, coming live to you on Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. Then Vinney and Bo's show, which is on Fridays now, 9 a.m. We go live also with premiering and everything. And then I do some of these podcasts also a little bit, but I'm very excited that you are able to join. We got a great show today with a guest actually from far away from USA in Australia. John Foong is here. Hi, John. How are you? How early is it over there now?
It's not too early, Vinney. Thank you for having me on the show. Really excited to be here with your listeners. It's 8 a.m. on a Sydney morning. It is just coming up to spring here, so things are looking up.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Share with us, give our audience, a little bit of background about you and where you are now, how you got there,
Right. Yeah, a few different parts of me. I grew up in Australia. My father and mother came from Hong Kong and Malaysia. They migrated here in the 70s. So I grew up here in Australia, lived the good half of my first part of my life here, studied here, bought my first properties here, did that in my 20s and got my undergrad. Did some consulting, and then the next 17 years, I traveled the world. So I was in Africa for a little, working for the US government. I went to the US, did my MBA there, then went to Europe and worked for Google for a long time there in business and tech. That's kind of my thing. And then came back to Silicon Valley, spent a long time there working for Google and for Uber, met a California girl, and we had a bunch of kids. And recently, 2 years ago, we moved back to Australia, back to where I grew up in the North Shore of Sydney. And that's where we live. Our investments are spread between Australia and the US. And I'm the chief revenue officer of a real estate portal called Domain, which is one of the largest portals in the Southern Hemisphere. It's very similar to a Redfin or a Zillow on Australia.
So wonderful. Welcome. I know Silicon Valley is in my backyard. This is San Francisco in my background, but I've been here in the Bay Area a long, long time. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's great. So have you been in the real estate market that long or how?
Yeah, so I first started investing when I was 18. My dad was a real estate agent at the end of his career. In terms of the cultural heritage I'm from, a lot of the Southeast Asian migrant mentality is as soon as you get an income, you buy an investment property or you buy somewhere to live. That was very much what my parents had done, my wife's family had done, me and my sister did. So as soon as I got my first paycheck at the age of 18, it was like, put a deposit in the house, go, leverage up. And so that's been the culture for some 3 decades of my life. And obviously growing from that, reinvest the profits. And as capital, you get capital gains and you get more income because I've been working that time. You kind of invest more. And then as I actually moved out of house and, bought our own house with my new family, leveraging primary residence tax rules and things like that. So our property investing has been a way of life for my family for generations and for me for most of my life now.
That is so wonderful. I mean, generational wealth, we call it. And you said three different generations really into it. I'm so glad you learned this so early. In my case, I didn't learn that fast. I was over here in California after we got married, we got into rentals. But then for 16 years back or 17 years back, we got into multifamily and all these and now assisted living and hotels and all. Yeah. So what's your class then? Where do you spend most of your, time in purchasing commercial over there or in USA also?
It's flipped a lot. And I would say in the first part of my life when I was living in Australia and then Europe, it was mostly Australia. And what I did was very basic. It was basically single family residences. My specialty was 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses, about 15 minutes from the center of an Australian capital city, Australian metropolitan area. And me and my dad just got really good at that game.
Mhm.
in terms of understanding that. We dabbled a bit in apartments and things like that, but actually the house part was good for us. So that was kind of the first phase of my investing and growing that pretty meaningfully.
Sure.
And when it became clear I was going to build a life outside of Australia and I got married in the US, that's when I shifted a lot of these investments to the US. There was a few things. It continued a lot of that vein, but with two changes. By that time, a lot of my friends were American, and American business schools. A big deal is real estate investing. It's a huge deal, obviously. A lot of
Mhm.
people do multifamily, commercial. So I did a lot of syndicated investing with some of my best friends, my kind
Mhm.
of roommates from, in this case, from Stanford. We went to business school together, and a lot of them work in real estate full time. A lot of them have been doing it for do it as their full time job, and so we did some syndication together. So that was one thing, and dabbled a bit with commercial. But the majority of investing was still in those kind of houses as investments. And then by that time, we were trying to grow a family. So we then bought a house of our own after we got married. So that became our major investment.
Very
And
good.
then
Very
when we
good.
came back to Australia, 2 years ago, we now got a young family, three girls, me,
Yes.
wife, and three girls, and so it's a big family. And so we really just focused on finding the right house for us to live in as our primary residence. And the
Mhm.
way the Australian taxation system is structured, it's similar to America, but it's even more favourable for primary residences.
Oh, it
Effectively,
is. It
you
is.
pay
So
no
the
capital.
loans are available there. Banks give
Oh
loans.
yeah, the loans are similar. We don't have 30-year loans actually.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah.
So basically, most loans are variable or fixed for 2 years. So it's
Two
quite short.
years.
So that's one difference. That's an area where in America it's a lot more. It's a lot more flexible.
Yes, yes, yes. In Canada also, I think it's 5 years or something.
Yeah, I mean, what America has done through I guess allowing mortgages to be traded really allows those 30-year. Effectively, you're creating a bond, right? So that's the great benefit of it. But on the taxation front, it's very attractive to invest a lot in your primary residence in Australia because as long as you live in it, and you sell it within 6 years of having lived in it, you pay no capital gains at all. It's not even like America where it's the first 250
Like
or
250 and 250 and
yeah. No, it could be, you could make $10 million on that property
oh
and pay
wow,
no, right?
nice.
Which is obviously extremely attractive, which is cool. And even on investing, it is quite, you can offset investment gains against W-2 income, right? Which is again
Sure.
different US. It's not bucketed.
Oh,
Right?
active passive. Okay, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So what that means is for us, obviously we're a family. We're trying to, live as comfortably as we can afford. So we have not invested back here in Australia, except for, a primary residence, which is the most tax efficient. And I think more importantly, lifestyle investment, for us. So, right now it's quite simple. We have our investments in America. We have our home here in Australia. We're sticking that for a bit, until circumstances, income, jobs, children change. So that's
Nice, nice. So I know before the show we were talking about mindset.
yeah.
Let's go there.
Oh,
What does
great.
it
Yeah.
take really? How do you think that the mindset plays such a big important role in any kind of success, in real estate, in any kind of
Yeah.
purchases and everything? Yeah.
I think when I think about life, we often so focus on the physical, right? Are we fit? Do we have what we need? And those things are very important, right? But really, it all starts with the mind, right? If you're not mentally well, nothing works. It doesn't matter how physically fit you are, right? You can't live, you can't thrive, right? And I think mindset drives everything else.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'll take any set of circumstances if I can be in the right mindset. And it doesn't matter how good my circumstances are. If my mindset is off, if my mental health isn't there, I won't live. I won't survive. And I could summarize all of my own studies and experience with mindset. It comes down to the title of this book, which a guy called Marshall Goldsmith wrote, this consultant, based in America. And his book is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Oh wow. What got you here won't get you there. Yeah.
And it's the whole mindset. It's basically about effectively that life is a series of constant changes. The
Mhm.
world is changing. We are changing. We go through being a kid to a teenager, an adult to a family, to an empty nester, to someone who's older, right? And we're constantly changing. And what worked for you to get to this point in time, successful or otherwise, may not work if you want to get to somewhere else.
So true what you're saying. Because
Yeah.
many times we get into the rut. And I mean, the things go good, it takes time. But then if you don't change with the changing time
Exactly.
and pivot, I call it pivoting, so that you can be looking at and vision should be changing because if you want to grow in any business or in life, personal, even anything like that, right? So
Exactly.
mindset plays such a big role. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of popularization of I remember at Stanford a big deal was this growth mindset that Angela Duckworth had written a lot about. Like that whole notion that a growth mindset minus as opposed to a fixed mindset. A fixed
Mhm.
mindset is this is the world, this is how it is, it's great, But a growth mindset says, hey, I need to change. The world is changing. How can I grow? So these are the things that I found very helpful to think about my own life, both in my work as I've gone from being an individual contributor to being a manager, to being a manager of managers, and now a chief revenue officer, reporting to the CEO. My mindset, how I operate, what I focus on, the skills I need, they keep changing. And
Mhm.
same with family, going from no wife to having a wife, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids.
Mhm.
What got me here won't get me there, won't get me to be a great father. It's a different set of skills. So constantly asking myself, what are the strengths that I have that are actually going to become my liabilities that I need to be changing? And just being very cognizant of that and be okay with that. It's okay. This is the beauty of life. There's different seasons and we need to adapt to it. So that's very much a lot of, if I could describe the single biggest thing that I see in successful adults, whether it's or children, whether it's in work or family, it is that ability to recognize what got them here won't get them there.
That's so wonderful. And, metaphorically, if we look at how the cell phones, I was just thinking about it while you were talking, you know, if the companies who made cell phones way back, remember they used to be
Yeah, yeah.
long, bulky, everything, right? You had to carry battery pack with them, right? I mean, those were the days, Vodafones and all that, came in front of my eyes. And then as they got smaller and smarter, they had to change with time.
That's right.
So what got them there? The companies, Apple, for example, now $1 trillion company. If they
Yeah.
had stayed back then, Vodafone, I'm just saying that I don't know if they're still in business. But the key thing is you got to change. You got to change, change. And now with the iPhone, $1,500. Who would know that a computer used to be $500-600, laptop, everything,
Yeah.
but the phone becoming $1,500.
I think phones are a really good example, right? Because to your point, back in the day, back in the 80s, there were mobile phones. They were made by a company called Motorola, and you had to carry a battery pack around.
Yes, yes.
But then in the 90s, a company called Nokia, this Finnish conglomerate,
Nokia. Yeah.
they were the ones, right, who then popularized that kind of the smartphone. They went from the flip phone to kind of the small phone, and like they were the kings of the world. Everyone had a Nokia phone. That was my first mobile phone. But
Sure.
then BlackBerry came along, and they made it for business, and Nokia couldn't keep up. But then Apple has come along this last 15 years with the iPhone. And I think Apple is the company who I've seen best popularize this notion of what got them here won't get them there. Because you got to remember, Apple back in the day was a luxury consumer goods electronic company.
Mm-hmm.
They made the first PC, but they didn't make it for the masses. They made this little niche called the Apple Mac II, and then Microsoft and IBM came along and popularized it for the world, right? And what they were able to do with the iPod and then the iPhone and then the iPad is make it for the masses, go from being a kind of niche brand to a brand for everyone, 50% market share. And then they've managed to keep evolving, unlike many other companies, and keep changing how they think about phones. And it's a very, a guy called Clay Christensen writes about the innovator's dilemma. And that notion is that it's very hard to abandon what made you successful, even though that's also going to make you fail. It's very hard. And Apple's one of the few companies that's done it now.
That's so true. So true. It's amazing. I just purchased Apple monitor, 27-inch or whatever it is. And I was looking through all the different pricing. Oh my gosh. Other brands were like 183, 223, 300 something. This one was 1700. I said, oh my gosh, same size, same everything. But the way they showed the synchronization with the MacBook, laptop, all these peripheries and all that, it's just amazing how they pivoted whatever they are doing every year to stay at that, revenue base of whatever trillion. Valuation is trillion. I don't know what their revenue is for the year, but the key thing, you're right, is in our life also. And the thing that came to my mind just now is we sometimes have bogged down of our laptop goes slow, and there is so much web and this and cookies and all that. We have to reset it many times to get that laptop going faster. And I just dawned on me, that why not we take our life also and reset it?
That's right.
reset it. And just like you said, pivoting or changing with the time, it's resetting to take the cobwebs out so that we can move faster.
That's a very good way of thinking about it. I don't know if you remember back in the 90s when you wrote with computers, we had something called a disk defragger, right?
Mm,
And the whole idea is every now and then you have to clean your computer. Now it happens automatically and get
yes.
the storage in a way that's efficiently arranged. And there's a concept in computer science called refactoring. And what refactoring is effectively when you build the same application, but it can scale. So, for example, if you were building a system for taking RSVPs to a party, right? And I said, build it for 10 people. You might just build it in a spreadsheet. But I said to you, build it for like 1,000 people, you'd have to think differently, maybe make a 4.
Yes.
And if I said to you, build it for 1 million people, you think totally differently. And then build for 1 billion people, you might make an app or something, an automatic check-in or whatever it is. And I think that has what separated, companies and apps that cannot scale is that ability to refactor, to rebuild for scale. And that's what we're constantly doing with our lives, refactoring for the next season of our life.
So true. So true. Wow. What great nuggets. Hi, guys. I hope you're really liking these. If you like this episode, give us 5-star reviews. I know I read every single review on the iTunes and others and Spotify, wherever we are all over the place. But thank you so much for joining today. Let me ask you a question. So where are you now? With digital real estate? Did I hear that or something?
Yeah. So we're at domain.com.au. That's the company I work for and help lead. We're a portal. So primarily we're a real estate portal. So in America, we have Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com. We are the Australasian equivalent of that. And in America, we have the multiple listing service. So all of the results, all of the listings appear on the portal. On the portals.
Wow.
In Australia, actually, that's not the case. You have to pay a fee to be a part of that. And so our job is to go out and encourage people who are selling their homes, say, hey, look, if you want people to find you, please pay us a fee, a subscription fee and a listing fee, and you will appear on here with your pictures and videos and that stuff. And then we have about, almost half of Australia's adult online audience using us every month, including the half-million Australians looking for a house or investment property. So our job is to create that marketplace and bring those folks together like a Zillow or a Redfin will.
Very nice. Good job. No, thank you so much. How can people reach you if they have to invest here in USA or in Australia? And thanks for adding value.
Yeah, the best way is probably through LinkedIn is the best way to reach me. I'm John at Foong, F-O-O-N-G. The company I work for is Domain. There's not too many of John Foongs around, so you'll find me.
Yes.
Keen to get connected. Particularly if you're in Australia. I know most of your listeners are America, around the world. If you want to, we publish a lot of white papers and research about Australian investing, what's up with rents, what's up with house prices, our forecast for the year, or what's going to happen. That's at domain.com.au/research. And that's, you'll see we publish about 30 or 40 papers throughout the year. And we publish these both on our website and through Australia's largest newspaper, the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. So if you're in Australia, you already know these things where you kind of grew up with us as a brand, and that's how I got to know the brand. But if you're overseas, very welcome to hear your thoughts and feedback.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, John. It was tremendous hanging out with you. And guys, I hope you really liked the content. We'll see you next show. Take care.